In our last video, we placed an image and added a caption. We even did like sort of like a placeholder just to show where maybe an image would go. And now just thinking about some design concepts I can actually, before I get into that, let's make sure we're saving our work as we go. Save and save often. Um, So as far as design principles and layout, you can see that we've got some things already working pretty well. We've got elements of alignment working pretty well. Um, we also have repetition. We also have contrast and proximity. All of these things are working out really, really nice on our design. Another thing I want to encourage you to learn quite early in layout and design is on any page, or maybe better yet, on any spread, always have a dominant image. Okay? Now, in this case, our dominant image is this bulldog, but some of these other shapes, like this shape, and even the masthead, the heading, the title, banner, somewhat compete with this image because of their size. And so if I really wanted to, if I wanted to change that, let me ungroup these, and I'm gonna move a few things around. I could take a look at increasing the size of this image to make sure I've got a solid dominant photo for the home page. And maybe that gets a little too big. I could bring that back just a little bit. And this is always something you could play around with. But that's going to be a little bit better. It breaks into my column a little bit here, and I would have to do some other little itty bitty adjustments. But this probably gives us a better chance at I'm just trying to think what else I could do here. Maybe add a paragraph return there. That didn't really change much. What I want to be careful of here is this text a little too narrow. But anyway, you can see, generally speaking, now this image is much more dominant just by increasing its size. So I always recommend having a dominant image, and if you don't have one, maybe what you need to do is subordinate something else on the page in order for this to be more dominant. Another thing we can do here is, you notice that I've got all these lines, and these are guidelines for layout. If you want to ever change it, up here at the top there's a screen mode, and I can change it from normal to preview. And that gives us an idea of what this is going to look like when it actually prints out. Alright, so that looks pretty good. Or not too bad. I'm not so crazy about this line being there all by itself. I'd probably go ahead and fix that, and we can actually change things while we're in design view. So if you prefer working in design view as opposed to in seeing all those lines all the time, that's certainly something you can do. I'm still not crazy about this line being there all by itself. Maybe I can just add some more text there. There we go, that's better. Still not super great, but alright. But you get the idea of having a dominant image on the home page just for the sake of contrast. And then you can turn off this, turn on and off, or toggle the view in the normal view. I prefer working with it on, but it's nice to know that I can quickly go do a preview of what this looks like. Alright, so things are pretty simple layout. I mean, we've done a lot of, I would say, nitpicky little work, so there can be a lot to it, but it's not hard to do stuff, is it? And then there's all these things that you can adjust and play with to get the design and layout to where you like it. Next, we are going to we're going to leave page 1. I think we've done enough with that for right now, and we'll go to page 2, page 3 spread. Now what we're going to want to do on this one is create 3 columns of text on each page. So there's one column, and with that column selected, I can hold the Option key to make a copy of it and drag it over. Do that again. I'm going to do it across all of my pages. Alright, so right now I've got 6 columns, that each of them being, or 6 text boxes that are 2 columns wide. Well, notice if I go to my first text box, double click in it, and I put in the placeholder text, it only fills up the one column. And actually, let's go ahead, let's select all of these and go to our paragraph styles and change them all to basic paragraph. That probably works a little bit better. And then I'll reapply the placeholder text, but it only fills up one. So how do I get it so that it goes to each one? Now I can manually stop the copy and paste here, put it here, but that's not the efficient way to do it. And I'm only going to show you this because this is such a common feature in InDesign, but we want to create what's called text flow. So I can make any text box flow text to any other text box. Generally speaking, it's going to be the one right next to it. But maybe I have text that starts on page 16 and then read page 72 or story continued on page 72. So I could actually have a text box on page 16 and have it flow to text on page 72 if I really wanted to. Most of the time, as the designer, the content is going to be delivered to me. I'm not the one writing it, and I'm certainly not going to look at a piece of paper and try to retype it. Almost always you're going to be copying and pasting. So to have text flows already set up ahead of time is going to be advantageous. Alright? So the way we do that is, notice when I have this first text box selected, there is a box up here at the top left and there's an empty white box at the top right. These are your text flow indicators. So to create a text flow, all I have to do is click in this box with the arrow key, and I get this icon that looks like I don't know, a corner with text in it. Now if I wanted to create a new box to have text flow to go to, I could do that. But I already have a box, and so I just need to hover inside that box, and you notice that the icon changes to a chain link. That's what it was before. When I hover over the box, it's a link. So all I have to do is click, and now there's a text flow. And the way I know that is when I click on the first text box again have the selection tool, notice now that that empty white box has an arrow pointing out of it. The one up at the top is still empty. That lets me know there isn't anything flowing into this text box. But there is text flowing out of this box. When I click on the second box that I just linked to, now notice that there's an arrow pointing in. It's very tiny, but it's there. That lets you know you have text flow flowing in. You don't necessarily know where it flows into. It'd be nice if it did. If you clicked on it, it would show the relationship of where it's coming from. But since I did it, I know that that's where it's coming from. And maybe there is a way to find out, and I just don't know how to do it yet. But this one is still empty. So to create the text flow to the next box, I click on this, and then click anywhere inside the next text box. Now there's text flow in. Again, text flow out, link it to the next text box, and so forth. And I'll do that for all 6 and finally link it with the 6. Now when I come back to my first text box with my blinking cursor, I can go to type, insert placeholder text, and boom, all of the columns fill out. Pretty common feature, not a very difficult one, not necessarily intuitive though. So if you didn't know how to do that beforehand, manually trying to create multiple columns of text could get pretty tricky to do manually. So this makes it quite a bit nicer to be able to have the text flow. And that's really all I needed to show you on that one. Maybe up here I'm going to add some subtitles. So we're going to do this one, call it Still No Fun. And I can select that text and give it a heading of 1. Now maybe I have other places in my content that I want to add another subheading. So this is Why No Fun. And maybe I want to create a new style, or I could give it the same. It probably needs to be a different style. So we'll create a new style. Oops, I created 2 by accident. So let's go edit this one. Basic characters. So a little bit smaller perhaps. And we'll keep the leading at 18. I still have that baseline. Character color, I still have, maybe we go back to black, and it could be a lighter gray black, a lighter shade of black, and that looks good. And we can call this one heading 2. And I would just need another paragraph return before I started that. And I'm just playing around here with different places to put headings. So I did Why No Fun, and then let's see, fun is overrated. And we'll give that a heading of 2 as well. So I think you're getting the idea of how you can work with these. So in this case, my heading 1, I had it in lowercase. Notice I had it, but on heading 1 it was all case here. So if I wanted to change my heading case back to basic characters and make it all caps, I could do that. And then it makes it all caps there. And so forth. And then because I had made heading 2 based on heading 1, there are things that it inherits. So if I update heading 1, it inherits heading 2. You don't need to do that. That's a little bit more of an advanced feature in InDesign, but I was just kind of showing you how this based on thing can kind of work if you ever wanted to use it. And maybe I'd go and change that. Maybe I come back to advanced or basic characters, and I don't want that to be I can override that and have this go back to lowercase. So same font for repetition. I changed the color to change the contrast just a little bit. Maybe we don't even like light gray. Let's see, I could go to a yellow, and if I didn't like the yellow, I need to go to my swatches and change the yellow so I can make it more of an orangey yellow. So let's make this 60%. We hit OK, and it makes it more of an orangey yellow. If I double click on it, let's see, I uncheck name with color, and I'll just call this cheese gold. Almost looks like Green Bay Packers colors. Alright. And if you introduce something like, well, I'm not going to get too crazy on that, but that gives you an idea of how we could add subtitles to your text. So we've now created multiple columns with text flow and more subheadings. In our next one, we're going to add an image that crosses the middle of the fold, which can be a nice layout on this spread.